Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for February 12th through 18th. This week I read 2 books, I watched 5 TV shows, I listened to 1 podcast, and I finished listening to 1 book. First this week I finished On the Edge of Gone by Corinne Duyvis. I read this as part of Diversity Bingo 2017, and this ticked off the category of neurodivergent main character own voices. This felt like the most appropriate selection for this category because Corinne Duyvis came up with the hashtag and the movement of own voices back in September of 2017. For those of you to whom this book is new, On the Edge of Gone is a YA sci-fi novel about a girl called Denise who lives in Amsterdam and is awaiting a comic strike that threatens to take out all of humanity. Denise and her mother are on their way to their assigned shelter when they stop to help one of Denise's previous teachers, and in doing so their survival plan changes drastically. The own voices representation in this book is the fact that Denise and Corinne Duyvis are both autistic. I love the amount of diversity in this book. Denise and her sister Iris are biracial, and Iris is trans. There are also Jewish characters and some of their customs come into play in the plot, as well as a same-sex couple. The plot was compelling, I fell for the characters, and it was refreshing to have a dystopian novel where the opposition wasn't the government. The second book I finished this week was I'm Judging You by Luvvie Ajayi. I picked this up because somebody online mentioned that this is the subject of Shonda Rhimes' next project, and obviously I would be all over it based on that. I also like when I'm able to read the book before the movie, or in this case TV series, comes out, so I can compare the two. This is a do-better manual in which Ajayi casts a lot of side-eye at society, while fully admitting that she is not free of blame in some of these habits. One brilliant thing is that it starts out with small things that are annoying and need to be addressed, which eases you into the middle chapters on misogyny, racism, religion, and feminism. There are tons of pop culture references and critique, as well as unpacking of the author's privileges alongside systematic struggles. It was a quick series of chapters and full of author-invented vocabulary. This week in Grey's Anatomy, I watched from Season 11, Episode 8 to Season 12, Episode 3. I cried so hard this week that I might have dehydrated myself near the end of Season 11, and the only thing I can do at this point is pass along this gift that a friend of mine who knows my sorrows and understands me sent to me. Yeah, if you know the show, this is relevant. If not, how have I not convinced you to start watching it yet? I started watching Season 1 in December, and I'm now on Season 12. This week in How to Get Away with Murder, we finished the second season, starting with Episode 6, and ending with the cliffhanger at the conclusion of Episode 15. I had forgotten a lot of what had happened in the second season, so this was a really good refresher before the third season comes out, hopefully soon. The characters are compelling, even though it's easy to find them detestable, and I always want to see more of them. This week I watched the first 3 episodes of A Series of Unfortunate Events, a Netflix original that is endlessly amusing, not only for the nostalgia of the movie, as I haven't gotten around to reading the books, but also because Count Olaf feels like Barney Stinson trying to trick his friends with costumes, in the most delightful way. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the season with my standing Tuesday night dinner and Netflix date, and getting to material that isn't familiar from the 2004 movie, because I have no idea what else is in store for the Baudelaires. This week, in trying to make my friend poop his pants, we finished the 3rd season of The Walking Dead, episodes 12 to 16. He seems to think that we've watched this section of episodes before, as in years ago, but they're not familiar to me, and when I hypothesized that he watched them by himself, we realized this was very unlikely, given he can't watch scary things alone. In that case, I was probably asleep, given we used to watch things super late at night. It's hard not to talk details, but this section of episodes is pretty hard on the cast. And certain injuries happen that would make me want to nap for as long as possible, which would be about 13 seconds given that there are walkers everywhere. We only had time for 1 episode of Deep Space Nine this week, Season 1, Episode 12, which happened to have Jonathan Banks in it, so I was pretty happy. This episode had the concept of nanomedical technology, which is prevalent in a lot of sci-fi writing, but with a twist, which would have been more compelling if it wasn't dropped right before Cisco decided to exit stage right after completely ignoring the Prime Directive. Yet again. This week I listened to the latest Welcome to Night Vale episode in anticipation of seeing it live this week. Night Vale is a friendly desert community where the sun is hot, the moon is beautiful, and mysterious lights pass overhead as we all pretend to sleep. If you're a fan of theater of the absurd, smooth, sonorous voices, and small-town casts, I highly recommend this podcast, as well as the novel, and the second novel is currently being edited. This week I listened to Jane Steele by Lyndsay Faye, which has been recommended numerous times by Kirsty over on Melbourne on My Mind. This is a quasi-retelling of Jane Eyre if she had been a murderer. I've never read Jane Eyre because I'm not huge on the classics, so I don't know how these books compare, outside of what is specifically mentioned in the text, because Jane Steele is a fan of Jane Eyre, and mentions it throughout. I can say that I absolutely loved this story. The writing in this book is delicious. Scenes, events, and people are described in vivid detail, and I'm in love with the style. I am definitely going to have to look into the other 4 books that Lyndsay Faye has published and keep an eye out for the next book that's coming out later this year. The narration of this audiobook was beautiful, with tons of different voices for different characters from the one voice actor. Doing all the different voices is a very big part of what makes somebody fantastic at reading stories. Seriously, ask any kid who loves stories and they will tell you the same. Before we wrap up, I want to let you know that Monica posted our discussion of Zootopia on Friday, so there's a link to that down in the doobly-doo. I also want to let you know that I am busy early this week, and on Thursday I leave for Boston, which means I'll be away for the weekend, which affects when and where I'll record my next weekly entertainment wrap-up. If I can find a quiet space and a fast enough internet connection to upload, I will do it in Boston. If not, my next video will likely go up on Thursday or Friday, as I'm not back until very late on Wednesday. This also means I will probably be watching significantly less television, as I will be out exploring. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know your thoughts on them down in the comments below. On the way down in the comments section, if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can also like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you whenever I'm able to upload my next video. Bye!